It's 5:30, so we'll call to order this meeting for Monday, June 7th. Jordan, welcome. Would you start us off with a roll call, please?
Councilmember Remley.
Present.
Ronayne.
Present.
Lunsman.
Present.
Rife.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Reinbold.
Present.
Langer. Rux.
Present.
Mayor Shoneman.
Here, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start by approving this week's agenda. I trust that you've all seen it by now. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Rux, second from Councilman Remley. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Agenda is approved. We'll move along to our approval of last meeting's minutes for the meeting of May 24th. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes as printed?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion from Councilman Johnson, second from Councilman Rife. Does anyone have any additions or changes to that? If it's all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Minutes have been approved. We'll move along to our open forum. I saw no one set up to speak. I trust that some of these people are interested in speaking to later agenda items. We'll move along to our consent calendar where we've got 7 items of routine city business. Can someone give me a motion to approve our consent calendar as printed?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion, Councilman Rux, second, Councilman Ronayne. Any questions on this one? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Consent calendar is approved as printed. We'll move along to our old business. Brett will be here to introduce the second readings on 2 ordinances. The first one is Ordinance 210401, rezoning property described as Erdman First Subdivision, southwest quarter of Section 13 on and on at 302 South 4th Street. This would be the second reading and final adoption of that rezoning. Brett, what can you tell us about that?
No changes from 2 weeks ago, Mayor.
Still advice of the city to approve
That's
as
correct.
is. All right.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion, Councilman Johnson, second, Councilman Reinbold. Any questions for Mr. Bill? All right. Let's see, Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Rux.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Rife.
Aye.
Lunsman.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Remley.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got ordinance 210502 regarding the issuance of local medical cannabis establishment permits and or licenses. Also the second reading on that. Brett?
Staff recommends approval on this one as well.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion, Councilman Remley, second, Councilman Ronayne. Any questions for Brett on this one? We made a slight modification to the language, otherwise it was exactly as pitched to us. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Remley. Ronayne.
Aye.
Lunsman.
Aye.
Rife.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Rux.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Move along to our new business. The first item of business is the public hearing, followed by possible passage of the resolution, which approves the lease of the municipal airport hangar to the private person for 5 years, beginning in 2021. So, as you all know, this is the time and place for the hearing, public hearing for that resolution. And we will, I guess, be having speakers from both sides, most likely. So I thought I would set up some ground rules to begin with. At this point, we've had 5 opportunities to get public input from the various vested stakeholders. In the interest of time and relevance, it'd be great if we could limit ourselves to new content only, or content that hasn't been rehashed a number of different times. And I'd like to give both sides some time to speak, but I think we should limit this to maybe 20 minutes in total, 3 minutes per speaker. So what I would like to do is get a raise of hands for the people that are in opposition to this resolution as it stands. We'll take a note. 3 in the crowd, and then in favor of the resolution, 4 in the crowd, and anyone interested in speaking. We will get to that as soon as the city staff presents some information. And
May I
Ron,
make a parliamentary inquiry, Mayor?
please.
Would the mayor intend that the prior proceedings that we have all be treated as part of the same public hearing? That is to say, can we reference, can we assume that we all have been present and have heard those prior presentations, so we don't need to rehash those?
Right, that's exactly why I said that. You said it much more eloquently. Yeah, we can, I guess, start with a base presumption that we've all paid very close attention to all the speakers that have contributed thus far and all the content. So Ron, with that, city staff information.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only thing I would add in addition is that in addition to incorporating the prior comments that the council has heard at the various other meetings, that we would also incorporate for the council's consideration and part of this hearing, all of the information that was contained in the agenda packets regarding the municipal hangar matter as well. So we just want to make sure that the hearing record would include all of the past comments offered by any persons in support or opposition to whatever the lease was before the council, and then also the past agenda packets. And then I would just offer to the council that pursuant to the statute at STCL 9-12-5.2, we are now in what I would consider the second part of a three-part phase, which is the public hearing to determine whether to move forward with approving the lease that the council passed a resolution last meeting, actually maybe it's 2 meetings ago, that it intended to lease the property to Mr. Hillstead. Again, pursuant to that statute, when we're dealing with private property leases of city property that will be more than 120 days long and more than $500 on an annual basis, you're required to follow this process. And again, following this hearing, after which you will have heard hopefully new information. If there are new arguments to be made, then the staff will be recommending that you move forward with approval of the lease and the resolution that you had intended to lease to Mr. Hillstead at the last meeting.
Thank you, Ron. Any questions from the council on that? All right, so of the three that voiced opposition to the lease as it stands, does one of you wish to take the opportunity to speak? Mr. Altman. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Adam Altman appearing on behalf of Quest Aviation. I have 4 categories that I intend to cover tonight, and I will treat them with respect to the council's time. I will do my best not to repeat any arguments that I have previously addressed or that have previously been presented to this council. The first area that I want the council to consider is the financial and other detriment to the city if the lease is awarded to Mr. Hillstead. Quest Aviation operates as a commercial enterprise, and it brings business and tax revenue to the city. Things that could disappear from the community if this commercial lease, if this commercial property is taken out of commercial service, include the Trans-Canada Pipeline. They do fuel stops here. They do, my understanding is they fly their planes and inspect the pipeline installation and operation, and they base out of Aberdeen. And that could conceivably go away if there is not commercial hangar space available to them. The plane that they use fits very well in the city bay, and of course it's the intention of, as I understand the lease that's been considered, that's being considered, that it should not be used for commercial purposes. The Oshkosh Air Show is frequent attenders of the Oshkosh Air Show stop in Aberdeen. It's a good distance, it's the right distance from Oshkosh. They stop and they buy fuel here, and they won't do it if there's not commercial hangar space available. Approving the lease with Mr. Hillstead takes the city bay out of commercial hangar space. Alpine Aviation, that's the contracted carrier for UPS and the United States Postal Service, won't have winter hangar space because if you approve the lease with Mr. Hillstead, that lease will be taken out of commercial service. The existing shortage of commercial hangar space will only be exacerbated. And finally, you'll have the precedent of allowing non-commercial operations on the apron or the ramp of the airport, and that's never been done before. That's always been reserved for commercial aviation and commercial services. And there's good reason for that. We don't want private hangars having access directly to the ramp because we want the full-time control of having an FBO and their personnel monitoring that access. And of course, we should consider the bid itself. If you vote to approve the lease with Mr. Hillstead, you're leaving $109,000 on the table. You're just giving that away. That's money that should be used to fund city services and to bolster the tax base of this community. Now, the second category is legal arguments, and I'm not going to bore the council with legal arguments. The court is the place for that and not the city council. But as you do know, Quest has filed its petition for writ of mandamus and prohibition against the city. The judge denied that. But I want to read you what the judge wrote in denying that. He wrote, and I quote, "It appears there is a plain, speedy, and adequate remedy in the ordinary course of law that would allow plaintiff, at the very least, to seek damages for any alleged financial losses it believes has been sustained." The case that we did file against the city is not proceeding on a writ of prohibition, but that doesn't mean there aren't other ways, as the judge pointed out, to end up in court. We have also sued Mr. Hillstead. He's been served. There is an active case now going against Mr. Hillstead. You should also know that the drafting of the lease, while it purports to be non-commercial, actually does allow limited commercial activity. And this is to be done on the apron of the airport by a non-FBO. You'll note, if you read the lease that's being proposed this evening, that it does allow for Mr. Hillstead to sublease space out of that hangar. It requires him to go to the FBOs first, but if the FBOs don't want it, he's allowed to lease it essentially at whatever price he wants, as long as it's been offered to the FBOs first, to anybody who comes along. So he is being allowed by this lease to conduct commercial activity, which has always been and should continue to be the province of the fixed base operators who are professionals in this area. The ordinance that's going to be required subsequent to the passage of any passage of a memorandum of, the ordinance that's going to be required subsequent to tonight's hearing, if the council does vote to enter into the lease with Mr. Hillstead, that can be referred. And that would be an additional expense for the city as well. The logistical complications from leasing this hangar to Mr. Hillstead are numerous. There's no parking there. If you've looked at the site or if you've looked at the site map, there's a parking lot next door, but that's leased to Quest Aviation through a valid existing lease. There is no parking for that lease. I'm not sure where Mr. Hillstead is planning on parking, but it won't be on a Quest property or Quest lease property. Of course, it's the city property, but it is leased to Quest. I submit to you that it's likely that he'll be parking on the apron, which is not what we want for our airport.
Adam, you're approaching 6 minutes, and out of respect for you guys, I think that, probably being the only speaker, we'll let you have a little bit more time to wrap things up.
I will wrap it up. There's no restrooms or water facilities in the hangar, and I don't know where Mr. Hillstead intends to use the restroom while he's working on his aircraft. He's indicated that there is no heating and he won't be conducting snow removal in the city, and that's not good for the airport or the apron either. And finally, I want the council to consider the fundamental fairness of this. Why would the city put this out for bids if you weren't going to award it to the high bidder? Quest's bid was the high bid by $100,000, $109,000. And that's the bid that you should have accepted and that you should accept. That is the only bid that's out there. The original set of bids were rejected by this council. This council voted to reject the bids and set it out for rebid. When they did that, when you did that, Quest Aviation was the high bidder. The notice to bidders states that the city will award it in the best interest of the city. That's language from the notice to bidders. The best interest of the city is not to leave $109,000 on the table, to take fiscally non-conservative approach and not be business friendly. It is not in the best interest of the city to approve the lease with Darrell Hillstead. And I urge you to vote against the resolution of intent to enter into a lease. I'm happy to entertain any questions of the council or the mayor.
Does anyone have any questions for council? Dave?
Yeah, I do have one question though. I know you bring up the fact of $109,000 left on the table. But let's say we go back to the first bid and we would have just struck Mr. Hillstead, Hillstead, sorry, his bid and went with the next highest. You guys weren't even the next highest then. We would have then been leaving some money on the table between what Aberdeen Flying Service offered and what Mr. Hillstead had bid also, right? So we're looking at, you guys didn't bid anywhere close to that. You didn't come up to that 100 and some thousand until the second bid. So there's some problem there as far as I'm concerned.
My response is that the first bid is irrelevant. This council voted to reject all bids and set a new bid, and that's what happened. The first bid should not be considered by this council.
Thank you, Adam. Anyone else in opposition that would like an opportunity to speak? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council.
Thank you for joining us. Mr. Hillstead?
My name is Darrell, and far as Alpine, they're hanging them right now. The transit airplane, the pipeline airplane, he was through today. He was in the hangar. I have an option of leasing it to the FBOs if they want to work with me. We're not out to make enemies at the airport. I've been out at the airport since 1988. We'll work with everybody out there. And I really want to thank the council for backing up and looking at this, because what went on through the whole process was not quite right, and we got it all straightened around. And I'm sorry for all the extra work that everybody put into this. It's kind of a bad deal, but Joe and Rob, everybody put a lot of thought into this. I appreciate it. I think it's the right thing to do. But I'm not sorry for putting a bid on it, because I've been out at the airport for a long time. I agree. You should give it to the high bidder, and I was a high bidder to start with. And that did I get, surprise everybody by bidding on it? Yes, I did. But it's worth that. You guys know it is. So, any questions? And, the parking, excuse me, I was going to cover the parking. We will not park in Quest parking lot. We'll park in the city parking lot. There's the old terminal parking lot behind there. We'll park back there. Snow removal, I'll clean the snow out in front. It's not a problem. Bathrooms, the only time I'll use their bathroom is when I'm going to be flying. I'm going to park in their parking lot when I fly out of their place, if they want me to. And if they don't, we'll figure out something different. You got a question?
No, I just have a statement to make. It was this council that took that away from you in the beginning. I mean, I was one of them.
Yeah.
And I had the experience of talking to several people outside of city council, and they thought you got a raw end of the deal. And I agreed with them. So I changed my vote.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate that.
The thing of it is, I do think you got a raw deal. I think you should have had the vote to begin with. We could have avoided all this the last month. So I'm still going to vote for it.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else?
I'd like Ron, real quick. Do you have handy the original lease that caused us the grief in the first place?
Yes.
The section that was brought forward as disqualifying a non-FBO, can you read that section really quick for me?
It's language, as I understand it, that they're pointing to says that the lessee desires to lease said aircraft storage hangar for the purpose of renting hangar storage space to the general public. That was one of the recitals in the original lease.
And there's nothing legal that says that you have to be able to. It just says you have to desire to do that.
Correct.
So
we have no intention of renting to anybody else. Ryan and I got enough stuff to put in there, and
my question basically is, I mean, we can't even presume what you desire to do. I mean, you probably desire to have millions of dollars in the bank and to be
I do.
attractive to supermodels, but those type of things just aren't in the cards, unfortunately. So I think that when we threw the original one out, of the members that did were looking at that the wrong way, looking at that as a disqualifying statement, and I don't think that that exists. I mean, I desire to lease hangar space to the average public as much as everybody else up here might, for all we know. I mean, a legal document can't get to the bottom of that. My presumption is if that desire was the one issue that everyone had that disqualified that bid, Daryl could very well desire to lease space, just can't do it. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Hillstead?
thank you.
Anyone else to speak? All right. No. Mr. Johnson?
Drew Johnson, I represent Daryl.
How about 3 minutes? How about you be the one guy that sticks to the 3-minute thing?
I take a strong objection to what Adam had announced before. You know, if this was a court of law, everything he just said was all hearsay. What he's suspecting something to happen if it goes one way or the other way. And that, we don't have any evidence for you people to consider that tonight at all. But this gentleman over here made a good point that our bid the first time was for Darrow was $13,800. Quest only had a bid of $7,000, so it was almost double what their bid was. And now they took advantage of the second bid and came in with the $25,000 bid. But all this other argument about where we're at with this lawsuit that's pending, it's not even pending. It hasn't been served. I don't know who gave my client a copy of the application and the documents right before we started this meeting. I don't know if that was supposed to be a service, but he has not been served. And I just asked your city attorney if the city council has been served, and he said they haven't been. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. Adam mentioned something about a lawsuit to follow if necessary, because that's what Judge Flemmer said. Judge Flemmer has a 1-paragraph response from your city attorney as to why this writ of prohibition should not be issued. And Judge Flemmer agreed with that there's no standing at all that this Quest Aviation business has a right to come in and ask for a writ of prohibition because there are other ways to go about it. One thing the judge did mention, though, is the claim for damages. I haven't talked to Ron about this, but I think he'd agree. This city here cannot be sued for an enterprise that you own property over and be accountable for damages. You still have sovereign immunity in South Dakota to protect the city council in that kind of a charge. And I think that would easily also be tossed out, just like Judge Flemmer tossed it out to begin with. But I have talked to Daryl about it. We do have the proposed lease that came with the second notice of hearing on the bids for tonight's hearing. And he's read that. He was just in my office an hour ago. He went through it with me, and he's fully in agreement with everything in this current lease that your city attorney has prepared and offered with the second resolution for approval tonight. And he's willing to live by that. And one thing it does do, it does protect the FBOs out there. So should he have some need to rent some extra space out at some point in time, he gives first right to refuse that to the FBOs. So if they need more space and there's space available in Daryl's hangar, then so be it, because they can work that out if they need to. So I would ask the council tonight to give second reading approval for this second resolution tonight and allow this lease to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
3 minutes, Mayor.
Dude, you did. I don't know if you're watching it someplace, but 5 minutes, 5 seconds to spare. Does anyone else have any comment to make in support or opposition of this resolution tonight? All right, with that, I would take a possible a motion for the possible approval of the resolution 210601R, leasing aircraft storage hangar at airport for a period of 5 years with additional 5-year renewal option to Daryl Hillstead for a rental amount of $14,100, and authorize the city manager to execute that agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Lunsman, second from Councilman Remley. And I would also like to say, I think that most of us would agree that we wish it hadn't went this way. I mean, I think that people have their personal feelings about who would be the better tenant in all this, and it would be a lot more convenient had the bid went the other way. So I've been feeling terrible about this from the beginning, but I feel like we simply need to do the right thing and honor the original bid. Anyone else, anything to say before we take that vote?
No, I would.
Councilman Ronayne.
Thank you, Mayor. I was one of those who voted and encouraged that we should have the matter rebid some time ago. And so if I had my druthers, after we did that, I would have asked that we accept the high bid. But last month, or I guess 2 weeks ago at our last meeting, this council voted that we should intend to lease this to Mr. Hillstead. I think we as a council need to respect the action that we take from time to time. If we don't take our efforts and our actions seriously, and if we don't respect what we have done, frankly, how do we expect anyone else to do so? So I'm going to vote in favor of this ordinance based on what we as a body did last week. I would also note that the comments that Mr. Altman made about how there is legal action in the offing if we approve this ordinance. You know, to me that actually cuts the other way. I've made a personal, even though I'm a lawyer by training and by profession, I don't really want to do business with people who are litigious, and I think that quite honestly gives me another reason why I'm going to support this ordinance tonight.
Anyone else in the council? Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Rux.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Abstain.
Johnson. Reif.
Aye.
Lensman.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Remley.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Thank you for joining us tonight. You're welcome to stay as long as you wish. Next, we'll have the hearing on special one-day liquor license on June 17th, 2021 for Aberdeen Area Chamber of Commerce's business after hours, which will take place at 5th Avenue Southwest between the alley and South Main Street. Possible approval of that special one-day license, including that community event permit for the same. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Reif, second from Councilman Ronayne. Anyone have anything to add? Joe, do we need a roll call vote on these?
No.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion does carry. We'll move along to the application for a community event permit for the Aberdeen Downtown Association Summer Concert Series on June 17th at the Malachow Plaza, which is at the intersection of Main and 5th Avenue, with application for special one-day malt beverage license on that same day. This would be possible. Approval of that event permit and that license. Can I get a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Remley, second from Councilman Reinbold. Anyone have anything to add? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next, we've got the application for a community event permit for the Yildiz Shriners Circus, which will take place on June 10th through the 12th. This, pretty quick here, actually, at the Aberdeen Civic Arena. This would be possible approval for that event permit. Can I get a motion for the Yildiz Shriners Circus?
Moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Johnson, second from Councilman Rux. Anyone have anything to add? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry on that as well. Next, we've got the application for a community event permit for the Fallout Creative Communities Red Rooster Concerts, which will take place on June 11th, 12th, 16th, 18th, 24th, 25th of this summer at the 200 block, their location on South Main Street. This would be for that event permits only. Can I get a motion for the Red Rooster?
Moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne, second from Councilman Lensman. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion does carry. Move along to our request to approve property tax and special assessment abatements for property in city limits due to tax deed sales. This would be the approval of property tax and special assessment abatements in the total of $31,320.12, of which the city's share is $28,565.73. Jordan, what can you tell us about that?
The amounts may seem high. That's due to the demolition that took place at both properties. Staff recommends approval on both abatements.
Which properties, Jordan?
Both properties were demolitions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne, second from Councilman Rux. Any questions for Jordan on that abatement issue? Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote on that one, please?
Councilmember Remley.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Lensman.
Aye.
Rife.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Rux.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the ratification of the mayor's appointment of Scott Cook and Cynthia Walsh to the Board of Ethics. This would be approval of those appointments for the period of 4 years, beginning July 1st, 2021, and ending July 1st on 2025. Can I get a motion to approve those two individuals, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion from Councilman Rife, second from Councilman Remley. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion does carry. Next, we've got the appointment of Don Briscoe to the K.O. Lee Aberdeen Public Library Board of Trustees. Possible approval to appoint Don to that library for 3-year term effective on July 1st.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne, second from Councilman Rux. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion does carry with one dissenting vote, Councilman Remley. And I tell you, that is something that has been in the works for a while. He asked me about that in an interview quite some time ago, and glad to see him finally make it onto the council. Next, we've got the approval of the updated council goals and priorities. And here to explain that to us is our favorite city manager, Joe Gaa.
Well, that's very flattering of you. At least the honeymoon's not over yet, because the year mark is very close. On April 29th, the council met with the senior staff, department heads for a rather lengthy strategic planning session, which was concluded by council as setting some goals and priorities. And those are up on the screen. And just for sake of time, I am going to read the major categories, but not necessarily the strategies. I think it's important for the public to know what the council sees as important. So just rolling through these, there are city operational goals. The first one is water and wastewater improvements, specifically water supply, water and wastewater treatment, and distribution and collection infrastructure. The second goal was parks and recreation. Within that, obtain land for future parks, continue to enhance recreational opportunities, and consider improvements for Moccasin Creek. 3 is administrative planning. Within that, staff recruitment, retention, and recognition, IT improvements, ordinance reviews. Those were the topics in there. And number 4, always favorite infrastructure projects with bridges, roads, and stormwater improvements, and actually creating a plan for a new facility for public works. The second area was community enhancement, because we do our basic operations, but then we have a lot of partnerships and opportunities to work with folks in the community to better the community. So 2 goals there. The first one, business recruitment in the areas of specifically retail recruitment and incentives, business incubator and resources for new businesses, and strengthening the downtown area and cityscape. And the second one was resident recruitment, new resident welcome packets, social media and communications, and student retention and engagement being those. And that completes the list.
Are you seeking a motion to approve this, Joe?
Please.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne, second from Councilman Reinbold. Any questions for Joe? Quite a productive session we had that day. Probably just need a voice vote on this, right, Ron?
Yes.
All in favor of this approved council goals and priorities, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next, we've got the joint powers agreement between the Aberdeen Fire Rescue and South Dakota Department of Public Safety, Office of Homeland Security. Possible approval to authorize the mayor, fire chief, and finance officer to sign the joint powers agreement with those folks at Homeland Security. And Joel is here to tell us about that. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening. The purpose of this joint powers agreement is for the state of South Dakota and Aberdeen Fire and Rescue to cooperate in establishing technical response capabilities within the state, enabling all the counties in the state to receive emergency assistance in the form of an on-site response team, which Aberdeen Fire Rescue is part of that response team. Which we would respond to incidents such as terrorism and other emergencies. These capabilities include but aren't limited to hazardous materials, structural collapse, wide area search and technical rescue operations. And for consideration for Aberdeen Fire and Rescue's ability to provide the staff, the state is agreeing to provide funding from the Homeland Security grant funds for the purpose of providing training equipment and supplies to maintain these response capabilities. And actually this isn't something new. We've been doing this for years already. We're just finally getting it in writing. So I'm just requesting that the mayor and the finance officer and myself to sign this if it's so approved.
Thank you very much.
Any
Move to
questions?
approve.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Ronayne, second Councilman Rux. Does anyone have any questions for the chief? All right.
Thank
Jordan,
you.
would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Remley,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Lensman,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Rux,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Thanks for joining us, Joel. Next, we've got the request to purchase 2021-22 fuels off-state contracts for this area. Possible approval to purchase those fuels for the Public Works Department. And here to talk about that is Robin.
Okay, you've done this every year in the past. For at least a decade now, you've utilized the state's process. It has cleaned it up as far as how we do business. As I find out today, virtually every city our size is doing this through their state. We recommend approval of the award for the tanker contract to Harms and to the tank wagon, which is a smaller unit, to Volin Oil Company.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion from Councilman Rux, second from Councilman Johnson. Any questions about the fuel or the process? All right, would you give us a roll call vote, Jordan?
Councilmember Rux,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Lensman,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Remley,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the change order and payment request for water treatment facility sheet pile dam repairs on the Elm River. This would be possible approval of those payment in the amount of $20,000 to B&B Contracting for work on the project. And Robin, what can you tell us about that change order?
Most of this work was done last August. The contractor was hoping to get to a point where water was not coming over the main structure. Having to work in the water would have been difficult for him. Things, of course, because of the drought now, things are drying up a little bit and the water was not coming over. It allowed them the opportunity to finish connecting the piping between the old dam and the new dam. That gives us the opportunity to do maintenance in between and have a place to put the water. And there's a deduct change order of $560. They did not place as much riprap on this project as what we had planned for, so you're dealing with both a deduct change order and the $20,000 payment to the contractor.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion, Councilman Johnson, second, Councilman Ronayne. Any questions for Robin while he's up there? All right. Jordan, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Remley,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Lensman,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Rux,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Thank you very much, Robin. Next, we've got the payment request for the airport projects. We've got payment 19 for taxiway geometry to Helms and Associates, the amount of $15,850.90. Payment number 1 to taxiway geometry to Sharp Enterprises for $140,761.80. Payment number 7, which is for the GA apron project to Helms for $883.01, and payment number 30 to Helms for taxiway C in the amount of $4,195.62. This would be for the approval and authorization to sign the payment request for those airport projects. And since Rich is not here tonight, Joe is going to walk us through those.
Yes, thank you. The first one is for engineering on the current project that's going on. The second one is for the construction, the first payment on that. That is a project that is ongoing. The third one there on the list is a project that's in design for the apron. That'll be the next project that's completed. And the fourth one is near closeout. This is the project that was completed last year. A little bit of reseeding and things to do yet, but it's very close. So that's the summary of those.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion Councilman Remley, second Councilman Johnson. Any questions? These airport projects. Otherwise, Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote?
Councilmember Rux,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Lunsman,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Remley,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got taxiway geometry improvements, possible approval to accept American Engineering Testing to conduct the P401 test and authorize Joe to sign that proposal. Joe, what can you tell us about that project?
This is some extra strength tests of the concrete that's required above the engineer, what the engineer does. This is something that's required in all FAA projects, and it is included in the project cost and is reimbursable.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Reinbold, second from Councilman Lunsman. See here. I get a voice vote on that one since it's to do with the payment. Jordan, why don't you give us a voice vote?
Sure. Councilmember Remley,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Lunsman,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Rux,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the review and approval of the claims and payroll. This would be the bills for the list for June 7th, as well as the payroll approved for the pay period for May 23rd through June 5th, as well as the city's share of Social Security, old age, survivors insurance, retirement health, and life insurance. Can I get a motion to pay the bills and payroll, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion, Councilman Lunsman, second, Councilman Reif. Any questions on any of these? Jordan, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Rux,
Aye, but abstain on a payroll item for Mitchell Rux.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Lunsman,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Remley,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Will abstain on the bills, and I will vote aye on the payroll, and both do pass. Next, we have the city manager's report. Joe, what have you got for us here tonight?
Just one thing, the good news about when the council sets a goals list, then the staff has to meet those. And one of those goals was staff recognition. So this is the first week where we talk about accomplishments. In the month of May, we had 2 employees make it to the 5-year mark, which you've heard me say several times. That's the first step to a lengthy career. So we're proud of both of those. Jackie Whitlock in the Senior Center and Doug Rothler in Waterworks. So congratulations to both of those. That's it.
Thank you, Jackie and Doug, for sticking it out with the city. Appreciate the tenure. Next, we've got an executive session. It looks like we probably don't even need to see that one through, given the state of affairs.
I would ask that the council not hold the executive session today.
Sounds good. With that, I would take a motion for adjournment, unless anyone else has anything to add.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Remley, second Councilman Johnson to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.